mainly started using my MacBook Pro near the end of the editing process. I got the free 30-day trial of Final Cut Pro X on my laptop so that I didn't have to keep staying in after school or during school to go on one of the iMacs in the media room which had Final Cut Pro X on it, because it was getting urgent to finish the film opening, meaning that I had to be able to work on it at home. I've also used my laptop for GarageBand, SoundCloud, Blogger, YouTube. As you can see here, this is my YouTube channel, which contains my practice exercises, idents, sample scenes and shoots, screen recordings, rough cuts and final cut. I used Logic Pro to make the music at the end of the film opening where the killer stabs the victim, and this music was influenced from the film Psycho, in the shower killing scene. And I also used Logic Pro to recreate the music, the Halloween theme music from the film Halloween, for the part where the killer is walking up behind the victim, Simon, and about to put a bag over his head. In the terms of hardware, I have used many different technology throughout the year. So first of all, I have used a Sony A58 camera throughout all my practice exercises and my final film opening. And I've used an SD card throughout to hold the storage and the memory of what I filmed. Not only have I just used an SD card, I've also used a micro SD card for filming with the GoPro. And also I've used 3 different tripods: Amazon tripod with a pan handle, and also Amazon tripod with pistol grip head, and finally Manfrotto tripod with a ball head. I also experimented with the GorillaPod for many different shots in the rape chase scene. So some shots I put the GorillaPod in a tree on a branch, and also on the floor around many different logs and branches on the floor. And also I used it just as it is, just standing up on the floor on its own, to make lots of low angles and shots of feet, for example. I also tried experimenting with the gimbal or Steadicam, and I tried using it for the rape chase scene during the chasing, where the female victim or the 2 rapists hold this gimbal with them, but I realised that it wasn't a very good idea because the shots were wobbly and shaky, and this is not what I wanted. It was just too shaky. I used the GoPro only for my film opening, not for any of the practice exercises. In my film opening, I used the GoPro mainly only for shots in the rape chase scene, which is the very first scene. I used it for some shots while the victim was running and being pushed down by the rapist, and the bag being put over her head, to show her view and make it act as if the GoPro was her eyes, therefore making point of view shots. And for shots while the rapists were running too, from their perspective. And now you can see my first ident. I made this on Final Cut Pro X, and I made 3 different versions of this. And now the second ident here, I also made this on Final Cut Pro, and I really enjoyed making that one. So for the second ident that you just watched, I got the font for the Lilac City part from this website called dafont.com, and this font was called Eddie DGL. Also, I thought this font was very sci-fi-like. I denoted a sci-fi city in Chinese writing from this font because it is almost Chinese-like, and this is why I really liked it. I wanted to use it for my modern sci-fi ident, which is called Lilac City Productions. Now moving on to my last ident called Neonix Productions. This ident I made on Final Cut Pro X as well, and it's also quite a sci-fi modern high-tech ident. I got various fonts from this website, dafont.com, for my film opening, such as for the main font for all my titles and the main title at the end. The font I used for these titles was Face Your Fears. I denoted this font as being sans serif, and also I denoted it as looking like blood dripping down. So I thought it was a very spooky font, and this is why I wanted to choose it, because it worked very well and it just looked scary, and that's exactly what I wanted to achieve. And I wanted to have lots of blood because at the end of the film opening, the killer stabs the victim with a knife, and therefore blood splats out, and this is why I thought this worked very well for my film opening, my film in general.